Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take a quick look at Strong, and before we do, we typically like to look at Bitcoin, but I can summarize the fact it's right around 43,000, just kind of hanging out. I'll cover Bitcoin again in a separate video, of course. It's kind of more of a daily thing for me now, but just bear in mind, Strong is definitely staying strong. So it's a good one. I just got a lot of requests for this from my community members and other other subscribers too. So just generally speaking, it's making a presence, and a lot of people want to know kind of what's going on. So thanks again for the request. If you're new to the channel, not a financial advisor, I just love teaching people how to trade, and my goal is to help you become a better trader. That's just the easy way to put it, and I just greatly and deeply appreciate all of my current members. We're at 400 members strong already in our trading community, and I'm rolling out with the Trading Academy next month too. It's probably going to bolster our members too. So all good stuff there. Check that out in your own time. But for right now, looking at Strong here, let's go ahead and take a quick peek at some obvious stuff. Look at the moving averages. You can see we didn't even get a bearish divergence, or in other words, when the 50 intersects with the 200 in downward fashion, it's typically referred to as a death cross. That's what Bitcoin's undergoing right now, for lack of better terms. It usually causes the price action to decrease. In this case, the 50 came down, kind of almost essentially is intersecting with the 200, working as a potential support. So the price were to come down any further, 514 would be roughly the support level right now. I don't see there's any sign of that slowing down though. Look at how awesome this is moving. Nice steady period of consolidation here in that 5-day period, and that we've seen 4 strong bullish days. 4 strong, again, no pun intended, roughly about 23% overall. So it's just slow and steady. That's how you win the race though. You know what? That's the best way to go. So just know, very, very good stuff here for Strong. We can also see RSI's up over 70 on the 1-day chart. I particularly like that. And the main reason why is just because when it comes up over 70 on the 1-day, it kind of implies this bullish momentum that's here to stay, and that could effectively cause it to continue to stay upwards. In other words, the price comes back down on the 1-day, it commonly bounces and stays, so 70 can work as a support level on the 1-day chart in a lot of cases, once either A, it's broken its all-time high, or it hits enough momentum, which it's had so far. So Strong is looking very strong, right? I hate to keep saying that, but it's looking very, very good, and I can see why I get a lot of requests in this one, because it just makes sense. We've had no bearish divergence either. I mean, look at how long this has been continuing. Just continuation to the upside, back to back, every single day, looking good. So all in all, great stuff here. There's literally nothing I see on the 1-day that tells us there's any potential for turning around. The only thing else we could possibly look at, just to really quickly touch on this, is TD Sequential, and we're only at a 4. In other words, we hit a 9 previously, got a state of consolidation, increase up to a 5, down to a 3, and now we're at a 4. So the likelihood of us continuing up to a 9 is very high. So I think the likelihood of seeing 5 more days of bullish continuation is extremely relevant, extremely potential, if you will. And I do think we're going to see a continuation. So again, macro looks phenomenal. Let's go ahead and take a look at the midterm here. And this is where we might see a bit of an exhaustion. We do see that now. We're at a 9. Now again, that's not a terrible detrimental thing. If you see only a 9 on one time frame and it's not no other time frames, then it may not be a big deal. And what I mean by that is, being at a 9 on TD Sequential on the 4-hour, yes, it does tell us we're been on the overextended side. We could see a correction down to the nearest support right here at about 692, but it wouldn't be the worst thing ever if that were to happen. Okay. In fact, it would almost be welcomed because the price has been on the, again, slightly overextended there on the midterm. So it just could mean we might see a potential shift in momentum on the midterm. And, the 4-hour is a great indication of, how things can change from the macro sentiment to the micro sentiment. So again, this isn't a bad thing. It just tells us that it's kind of a bit on the overextended side. But we have the nice 50-day SMA working right behind it as a nice support. I mean, look at how well it's held as a support level. It's done phenomenal. So ultimately, we're looking very, very good in that sense, and I do like what I see here from Strong. Still looking very good in that sense. The only thing you want to also note too is that we are hitting 70 on the RSI. Typically, when you have a 9 on TD Sequential and you have a 70 on the RSI on the 4-hour, that's a cause for, I wouldn't say concern, but just means that we could expect the price to turn back around. Okay. Again, it's not going to nosedive by any means. It could go straight sideways from here on out, and that'd be perfectly fine. But if it were to consolidate, you can see it essentially tried to push past this resistance for a few hours and couldn't. So about 12 hours of consolidation right there. 690 is probably going to be a nice support. Okay. So again, all good stuff there in that sense. Looking at the 1-hour, let's see how the HMOC cloud looks. All good stuff. In other words, we got the conversion line over the baseline, we got the price well above the actual cloud itself, and lagging span is very free and clear of any price action. Now keep in mind, if the price were to digress a little bit and consolidate here, we'd see this do the same thing as well. Okay, so it could effectively give us a sell signal soon, but it's a very conservative sell signal. You by no means have to close your position. It just means if you have like a day trade open, you might want to consider trimming your position or selling it, closing it. Okay, so again, all good stuff here. Ultimately, the 1 hour looks great. The only thing else I want to double check is the TD Sequential, and we're at a 7. Okay, so we're at a 7 here on the 1 hour and a 9 on the 4 hour. So we probably only have a couple of hours left of bullish momentum before we see a price consolidate closer to 690. That's probably what's going to happen. Now, big picture here, let's go ahead and see what kind of potential we have with Strong. Obviously, its all-time high was upwards about 1,200. So you could be in a scenario where 2x is possible. We can look at projections in the near future. Actually, you know what? Let's just do it now. Let's keep it straightforward. In other words, this continuation pattern continues. So in other words, we're about 5 weeks into this continuation. Okay. So hypothetically, we were to get that same amount of growth. And let's see what that is too, by the way. From bottom to top in the last 5 weeks, we've experienced about 96%. If we were to see that same rate of growth, right, it would essentially be diminished return, of course, closer to 50%, but we could see 50% more increase, leaving us at about 1112, so roughly 1100 in the next 5 weeks, okay? Will it happen sooner than that? Quite possible, because we had a heavy period of consolidation here. In fact, the lowest point took about 2 weeks before it even started to increase. So roughly we could see 3 weeks in the range of 11 to 1200 in the next 3 weeks. Okay. Now, once it gets to that point, I'll go ahead and reevaluate, but I can tell you this is a pretty decent consideration for at least a swing trade. I would highly recommend considering that. It's got no signs that it wants to turn around or slow down. Just bear in mind, we're doing very well, and we might see a turnaround on the midterm, at least for a very short amount of time. Okay, so consolidation at 690 is likely, but in turn, big picture, I think Strong has great potential to hit its all-time high, if not go further. Okay, so hopefully you learned something here today. If you did, comment below. If you didn't, that's okay too. Learn as much as you can, of course. If you want a good hands-on experience, I've got a trading academy rolling out month in, of course, currently a trading community where we all learn and grow together, and I share signals for every single trade that I take, so you can learn how to structure your trades and essentially hopefully benefit in that way as well. All right, well, look forward to get to know you better. Hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.